Hey guys, Atsu here and welcome to another Genshin Monday. The last time I did this was several months ago. In fact, it might have been last year. So yes, I have kind of been not in touch with you guys on the YouTube side of things, maybe more so on Twitch. But of course, I know not everyone on YouTube is going to have Twitch and vice versa. So I do want to put these out every now and then. Genshin Monday is a series where I talk about anything and everything about myself, about current events, whether Genshin or real life things as well, while I take on some weekly bosses or some domains for artifacts. So let's start off with Tartaglia. He's always the go-to for us to show us what some of our units are capable of, but this time around I just need to get rid of Tartaglia for his drops. So what do I want to talk about today? You've probably seen it in the title, but it is regarding Dehya. Now, she has come under a lot of stick, to say it lightly, from the community, because a lot of people who do consume leaks, I actually don't consume leaks anymore. I haven't taken a look at leaks in a very, very long time now. Is one, because I've been abroad for so long in Japan. Of course, you guys know I was gone for 1 whole month. I am back now. And two, I just feel like it takes away from the fun when I inevitably get a chance to play those characters and work out for the first time what they do. But having said that, they are absolutely everywhere and people are not happy with how bad or how weak she is. Seemingly, her numbers are not very, very good. Now, from the live stream, it was the first time I saw her kit, and I thought her animations were absolutely chef's kisses phenomenal. In fact, that is the kind of thing that I had anticipated that one day, if we ever get version 2 of characters, that version 2 of Beidou would have had. We all know Beidou has her claymore, but we also know, canonically speaking, she fought with her fists and her bare hands, and I would have loved to have seen that on Beidou. So I'm not sure how I really feel about it seeing it on Dehya, although I do think Dehya is a badass as well, and kind of similar to Beidou in terms of personality. It's more like Dehya, however, would be the type to watch Sailor Moon, while Beidou would be the type to watch something like Dragon Ball Z. That is the analogy I will use there. But back to the numbers and back to the meta and why people are not happy is supposedly the numbers are very bad. She's not exactly a damage dealing character, but she is more so a defensive character, and defensive characters, traditionally speaking, have not always had the warmest welcome. We all know Zhongli caused a lot of controversy. We all know Kokomi caused a lot of controversy for their own different reasons. But we all know that defensive characters, a lot of the time, people will instinctively look at how much damage does a character do, and they'll be unhappy that their favorite character doesn't actually do a lot of damage, even if they are the type that is meant to be defensive or for healing. I remember people were like, Kokomi has negative 100 crit rate, and they were freaking out about that. And that just doesn't make any sense, because it doesn't really matter if your healer can crit or not crit. Of course, if your healer can crit and do damage, that would be pretty busted, but I think it's reasonable to have an expectation where not every single character in the game is busted. With Dehya, though, apparently she is so bad. Like, she is worse than Chi-Chi, or people are dubbing her as the next Chi-Chi, as in the character that goes on the standard banner that nobody wants to pull because they're that bad. If that's the case, I will be very, very, very sad, because she is a character I like and I was looking forward to. Not to the degree I would Constellation 6 her, but it is a character that I really wanted to play with regardless. And after I saw those attack animations, I thought that is phenomenal, because I really like characters that fight with their fists. Like the monk class in RPGs or roguelike games, stuff like that is something I really, really, really like. Now, with all of the negativity aside, and let me huff my copium and my hopium, I like defensive characters, especially ones that prevent you from being staggered. And the reason I say that is, one, because I'm a whale. So this is probably not going to be relatable for a lot of F2P players. And what do I mean by that? It's like, because I have so much damage, and this is not meant to be a flex, but rather just simply the way I genuinely play the game and see the game, for me, what I care about the most, again, as you guys know, Zhongli. Not because, one, Zhongli is a puppy chulo and he's absolutely gorgeous. That is one of the reasons. But Zhongli gives me a level of convenience and comfortability where I can play my characters without my characters getting shafted by certain dodges or RNG or knockbacks or any sort of weird crowd control from my enemy. And I can literally just unga bunga brainlessly click, 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 click. Now, that might not be fun to everyone, but to me, I care about the aesthetics, and I enjoy being able to flawlessly execute my animations in an undisturbed string of attacks. That might be very possible with Dehya, because from my understanding, she has 2 levels of interrupt resistance, aka poise, aka stagger resistance. It basically prevents you from getting knocked back when you receive a blow, and occasionally a heavy blow. Heavy blows are the ones that can knock a lot of people back, even though some of them have stagger resistance. And you have to have either a shield or a certain level of interrupt resistance or stagger resistance to prevent yourself from actually being sent flying. So I'm hoping she can provide the highest level. As you guys know, if you do play Raiden, if you play with also Eula as well, both of them also have interrupt resistance when they use their elemental burst and their abilities and stuff like that to prevent them from being sent flying. So you can literally just put down like a healing field, and the healing field will heal you while you stand there and go bang, 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 bang. So it's essentially similar to Zhongli. You put your defensive ability down and you just stand there and you go bang, 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 bang. And you don't have to worry about dying. You don't have to worry about losing a character or losing damage to dying, which is something I always think is an intangible variable, in the sense that you lose a lot of damage from actually being dead. You lose a lot of time from having to reset the abyss. Yeah, all of this stuff is not stuff that numbers can account for. But that is all purely copium, because if the numbers really are that bad, even for a whale like myself, maybe she's going to be so bad and so big of a waste of space on the team that I don't want to play her. And I really hope that is not going to be the case. So I'm going to try my best to see what kind of copium I can come up with. If I do get to try her out early on the media server, then I will be trying her out. From my understanding now, though, it is most likely that I'm going to have to farm this artifact set, which is the one that provides off-field support. So this one right here, Tenacity of the Millilith. While I do like this artifact set, I don't like spending resin on this domain because I have no interest in playing physical DPS characters. I used to, because I used to be a young Razore main, and then things happened. Things changed, and they added more male adult characters, aka husbandos, and the times have changed. The times have changed, and young Razore is not a character I play with anymore. Having said that, though, his playstyle is right up my ballpark. It is literally just Unga Bunga. You put a shield on him, or you have some sort of interrupt resistance on him, and then you just Unga Bunga. I love Unga Bunga. You guys know that best. I love playing Unga Bunga, but yeah, when a character is bad, they are just bad, and it feels bad to play with a bad character. That's a lot of bad, I know, but when it feels bad, it genuinely does feel bad, because like when you can like visibly see the huge difference in power, it does actually feel terrible, and it feels like you can do all of this, you can put in so much effort, but ultimately it's for naught, and that kind of feeling never feels good. Like, it always feels terrible. But, you know, I want to remain hopeful. I want to remain hopeful that she's going to be somewhat useful, because for me, I do need defensive characters. I don't really need damage-dealing characters. I have plenty of damage-dealing characters, so it is the last thing that I'm looking for. The things that I'm looking for are defensive characters, or supportive characters, rather, that enable my damage-dealing characters. I've always said this, is that support characters will always be more valuable than a DPS. Of course, if you don't have a DPS is damage per second or damage-dealing character, then your priority is to get one of those. But if you do have one, or if you have two maybe, so you have two for Abyss, maybe a third one so you can play with varied elements, if you do have those, then mostly you're going to want to support those characters and allow those characters to pop off. And the way you would do that is by having a defensive character or characters that enable elements. So I'm hoping Dehya, maybe, is going to be that. Now there is, again, a huge possibility that's not the case, and we'll just have to wait and see. The other thing that I wanted to talk about in the patch 3.5 live stream is rather, and I would say I fell into this myself, a generally negative reception to the live stream, because it, well, I would, if I'm being honest, guys, I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but this is my honest feelings about this, is I thought, I had no expectations, voice crack, I had no expectations for this patch, and I expected it to be a filler patch, but even so, I had a bit of hope that they'd show us something cool or something kind of insane. But that was a little flashy move at the end there. Or maybe I killed her in time to prevent myself from taking damage. Either way, I thought it was boring. I found it disappointing. I thought it was very bizarre that Albedo didn't feature at all, even though the English voice actor for Albedo was hosting the show, and it's a Mondstadt thing, and he's in the promotional artwork. Eula not coming out with Mika being a support character for physical DPS. I thought it was very strange. I thought it was very bizarre. And this patch just kind of seems a little bit dead. It seems a little bit boring. I think part of the reason why that came about was because Dainsleif, for me, is one of the hypest parts of Genshin Impact. This main storyline is really, really hype for me. Hey, we got a billet. It's really, really hype for me. And we barely got to see that. We got to see a glimpse of it. And of course, I think it's because they're trying to prevent spoilers from happening. Kaya and Dainsleif are going to finally cross paths, which I think is super, super exciting. We get to find out more about one of my favorite characters and his background. We all know he is like a descendant of Kyenria. He's like a Kyrian prince or something. If you didn't know that, that's not spoilers. That's literally in-game in some of the text. But yes, I'm excited for that. But outside of that, my bubble has been burst a little bit because Dehya, supposedly not very good. Mika, I genuinely could not care about any less. I don't play physical characters. I don't like his character design. Yes, he looks like a Chocobo from Final Fantasy, but I could care less about him. I'm sorry to Mika stans, but that's the negative Nancying for that patch over. After patch 3.5, I do think patch 3.6 might be Fontaine. Maybe it will be patch 3.7, but I think Fontaine is coming very soon. I'm looking forward to that. We do have the Archon quest, which probably means we are going to be leaving Sumeru very, very soon. So I am looking forward to that. Although I do love Sumeru. I thought Sumeru was an absolutely crazy update. Amazing place to explore. And I had a lot of fun. And we obviously had the new husbando in Al Haytham appearing courtesy of Sumeru. So thank you very much, Sumeru, for the feeble scholar. Now, something on a more serious topic, which I wanted to talk about, which I feel like I have somewhat of a responsibility to talk on, is the other thing that came up in patch 3.5, the live stream, which made a lot of people feel uncomfortable, myself included, is the voice actor for Elliot Gindi still having voice lines for Tighnari in that live stream. Now, obviously, the timeline of which certain events happen, which I'll get into in a moment, and the live stream was very short. So I can understand if Hoyoverse was not able to change it in time. For those of you who don't know, Elliot Gindi, the English voice actor, the now ex-English voice actor of Tighnari, has been fired from his role because he was exposed to have been a pedophile and a sexual harassing, abusive person, someone who received a lot of power and a platform on social media and chose to exploit that, which is just, honestly speaking, it's freaking, without cursing, it's freaking disgusting. I have had the displeasure of meeting him in person, and he is not a good person. He is a very horrible person. And for those of you who are out of the loop, there was a document that was compiled by one of his moderators, one of his Discord moderators, I believe. In fact, maybe one of his Twitch moderators as well, which exposed him to have been talking to a lot of underage children, a lot of minors, and amongst those, as young as like 13 years old, and as well as that, several of his other fans in a very horrible, vile manner in terms of trying to solicit things that are just illegal, essentially. And Hoyoverse caught wind of that, and they removed him. So good on them. They are going to be replacing all of his voice lines. They are going to be finding a new voice actor. So I hope that transition is going to be smooth, and I hope that they are going to be able to find someone very soon before any more Tighnari events come through. Obviously, the next patch is going to be a little bit difficult because Tighnari is going to be in the next patch with Senoi. They are visiting Mondstadt. I'm not sure how they're going to handle that. I believe they already have muted the English voice lines for Tighnari. And of course, this is another thing that I want to get out there. is, if you are a Tighnari stan, please do not feel bad or ashamed for playing Tighnari. Like, if you're really into Tighnari and you really love playing Tighnari and you love the character, you should not feel any shame for playing Tighnari. There's nothing wrong with playing Tighnari. A lot of people seemingly wanted to criticize Tighnari fans for something the voice actor did, but the voice actor is not the character, and the character is not the voice actor. And in fact, the character is always, and this is not just limited to Tighnari, this is to any character, fictional character, the character is always going to be more than just a person playing that role. They have their creator, they have their artist, their designer. His whole personality, for example, Tighnari, is completely polar opposite to Elliot Gindy's personality, which is violent, evil, whereas Tighnari's is very wholesome, and he is actually a wholesome, feeble scholar, unlike Al Haytham with his Gigantamax 8-pack. But yeah, Tighnari is not the same person. You should not feel any shame. There are other voice options as well, other languages that you might want to try out, or you might be able to try out for the first time in whatever copium glimmer of hope there is to this horrible, horrible situation. I do commend the victims, by the way, for coming out, because whenever you, like, a fan comes out against the person they're a fan of, or like a content creator or an influencer or an internet celebrity, the attitude most people have, and rightly so, it's not rightly so in the sense that this is the way the world should be, but it's something like they have to tread with caution, right? Because they know they're going to receive a barrage of hate. They know people are not going to believe them. They know it's going to be like them against the world. And you have to be incredibly courageous and brave to come out against a figure of power who has been doing horrible things behind the scenes, and you don't really have very much any powerful allies in that sense. So I commend the people that came out. It was a horrible, horrible situation, and thank you to them for shedding light on something that was truly, truly disgusting. Once again, I did have the displeasure of meeting him, and I did not have a very good first impression of him, and it literally just all adds up now. It all adds up now. But yeah, there is a lot of sinister stuff in this community, not just Genshin. I mean, like, content creation, voice acting. I know there's like more skeletons in the closet for a lot of people as well. I wish I could say more than that, but it is not my place to speak on like a victim's behalf. But yes, it is an unfortunate circumstance when people get into a position of power and then they have like these parasocial relationships with their audience, or the audience have like developed parasocial interest in a content creator or a streamer or a voice actor or a celebrity, traditional celebrity, internet celebrity, basically someone they don't know personally, and then that person starts, the person that they're into starts abusing that position of power. It's always a horrible situation. So what I want people to take away from this message is, if a content creator, if an internet celebrity, if any traditional celebrity starts messaging you one-to-one in an isolated incident, I'm not saying this in the sense of blaming the victims or I'm criticizing their behavior. This is just a warning that I want to give to everyone, because I know there's a lot of young people out there who watch my videos. I know there's even adults who also don't necessarily understand this parasocial world that a lot of people live in, including myself, because content creation, especially with streamers, they are a lot more accessible than traditional celebrities, and voice actors likewise as well. If any of these kind of people message you privately and they start asking you about personal information and they get into personal topics, that is always 99.9999999% of the time a red flag. I know some people wish more people like this would talk to their audience and their fans, but it's never a good thing, and it's almost always a red flag. Because of the weird power dynamic, things get twisted very, very easily. So please do remember that is a red flag. The other thing that I want people to understand is to separate the work from the worker, in the sense that to separate the art from the artist, or the character from the voice actor. Because once again, a work of fiction is a work of fiction. You should never enforce your image of a work of fiction onto a person. You should never equate a work of fiction to the person that created the work of fiction. Yes, there might be some correlation there, but they are not the same person. They are not the same thing. One is a real person, one is a work of fiction. I know it's very easy for people to get very, very passionate about fictional characters or some of their favorite shows or favorite series or favorite idols, and they feel a need to like defend these things. And I know there are some people who definitely watch my content, because I saw some comments from people that followed my Twitter, and they were like on the side of defending Elliot Gindi because they didn't want to believe that Tighnari could be like a spawn of evil. And again, please just remember that Tighnari is not Elliot Gindi, and vice versa. And remember to separate works of fiction from reality. I feel like, I know it sounds stupid to a lot of people, but depending on your background and your culture, there's different ways people interpret fiction. There's different ways people interpret certain things from different cultures. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there, as Al Haytham completely misses and does absolutely nothing there. But yes, that was a bit of a heavy topic and a heavy conversation, but I feel like it's something that I wanted to talk about and something that I should talk about, because what I realized from the patch 3.5 live stream is so many people had no idea about what happened with Tighnari, right? So many people had genuinely no idea. So when my chat and myself, I was like, oh, this is kind of awkward. When Tighnari started speaking, or Elliot started speaking, people were like, whoa, what's wrong with it? What's the problem? And what made me think of what I ended up thinking about is that if you're on Twitter, you're normally there to see the very first comments or statements from certain internet personalities or normal celebrities, or even news articles come out first on Twitter nowadays. Twitter is, honestly speaking, probably the best place to be if you're trying to keep up to date with events. Having said that, it's also just a terrible place to be because there's so many people on Twitter and anyone can say anything. Yes, it's free speech, but not everyone has something interesting or even reasonable or factually correct to say. So Twitter can often be an echo chamber of a lot of very, for lack of a better word, annoying things to read and annoying things to see. But having said that, if you're not on Twitter, you do typically miss out on the stuff. Hoyoverse also released a statement regarding this whole incident on Twitter first. So, yeah. So, what I realized during the live stream is that if you're not on Twitter, you actually do miss out on a lot of this important stuff. So, I thought it was worth making a comment in one of my videos regarding this stuff to anyone that watches my Genshin Monday stuff. I feel like a lot of them use it as a way to stay up to date with certain things, at the very least within the Genshin community as well. But yeah, it is a horrible, horrible situation. I am glad that we are hopefully seeing a resolution to this soon. And I hope that the victims will find peace and will be able to have a healing process that is undisturbed and have their privacy respected as well. Because I know some people are still trying to drag out issues for the victims, which I just don't get it. I just don't get it. It's so annoying to see. But yes, if you are one of those people and you're watching this video, stop doing that. You're being a douche and you're being an ass and you're not helping anyone. Sorry, I'm trying to focus here on oh my god, did I just miss? I'm gonna die here. Oh, I'm actually gonna die here. Oh, I'm actually gonna die here. Am I dead? Am I dead? Oh my god, I live! Woo! Never in doubt, guys. Never in doubt. Never in doubt. Okay, well, apparently I can't fly up there, so we're just gonna do it like this and attack his feet. Everlasting Lord of Arcane Wisdom. Oh, now, I know some people might be like, oh, your Al Haytham does no damage. Your Al Haytham, I thought he was C6. Shouldn't he be doing more damage? You're right. He should be doing more damage. But the reason why is, one, I don't have Electro application right now. And two, my Al Haytham is still C0. Now, I will C6 him eventually. That will be a video. But I've recently started playing a game called Honkai Star Rail. It's not out yet. I've been playing the beta. It's very, very fun. And having a challenge is so much more enjoyable than wailing and just steamrolling content. So when Honkai Star Rail comes out, I'm going to probably be low spender. I might be wailing on resin for the sake of content and streaming longer hours, but I don't want to be wailing for characters and getting like C6 on the first time they come out. I don't want to be R5ing weapons. Not that I really R5 weapons on here. I still only have one R5 out of choice, which is the Staff of Homer for my King Zhongli. But yes, that is something else as well. Honkai Star Rail, I don't know if you guys want to see videos on that. I don't know if you guys want me to even talk about Honkai Star Rail, but that is also something that is on my radar. But yeah, this video is almost 30 minutes long now. But thank you so much for watching, guys. And it was, I would say, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the earlier discussion. But of course, the Elliot Gindley stuff is very triggering. It is very distressing. And it's just a horrible situation. But I hope many of you guys are now in the loop. And if you're wondering why his voice is muted, that's why, because he's a horrible, horrible, evil person. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Let's see what we get here first, though. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.